37,000 rupees invested every single month for a span of 15 years is going to get you to a retirement corpus of about 1.8 crore rupees right here. Hey everyone, I'm Ishan Sharma, and in this video, I want to talk about the FIRE movement, Financial Independence Retire Early. I'll be sharing exactly what I have learned about this and how you can go about finding what your financial goals should be so that you can achieve financial independence at an early age. So first of all, let's talk about what is FIRE, right? It's a really interesting concept that I think all of you should at least know about and then think about if that is what you want to follow. Now, a normal life looks like this. At 20, you start to work. At 60, you retire. 40 years of work you've done, and then you live off your life. That's what financial independence means at the retirement age. FIRE is all about thinking how can we reduce this to maybe, let's say, 30 years, 35 years, 40, 45 years, so that at the age of 30, 35, 40, you actually have financial independence and you no longer have to work to pay the bills. That is basically what financial independence retire early is all about. इसको example लेके समझते हैं. Let's say that by adding up all of your expenses, let's just say your house rent, travel, food, Netflix subscription, whatever subscriptions you have, add all of them up and your per month cost or your expense becomes 30,000 rupees, right? So your expense every single month at this point is 30,000 rupees at this current age. If you can get this 30,000 rupees from some place, which we'll be talking about in some time, that would basically mean that you don't have to work for money. Right? You don't have to go to a job. You don't have to work anywhere because whatever expenses you have, all of them are paid up right now. First of all, what is the reason for FIRE, right? Like, why do you want to get independence from money? मैंने मेरी पूरी life में देखा है मेरे parents को, मेरी पूरी family को, and all of them have just been working so far, right? Like whatever I've seen every single day, weekends per week में, every single time they're just working on something or the other. And I think that doesn't give them enough time to spend time with the family or spend time on their hobbies or spend time on just learning something new, right? They're just like busy. They're just working. And that is not what I want to do in my future. I want to be at a point at which I can decide what I want to do with my time, who are the people that I want to hang around, and how can I properly spend time with my family and what skills or hobbies I can learn, right? And that is why financial independence and retire early is tempting for everyone. Everyone is talking about it. Everyone wants to achieve FIRE somehow. And this is the main reason. Your time is valuable. Like for example, if I ask you, if you don't have to work for money, if you don't have to work to pay the bills, what would you do? I personally would love to learn some hobby. I would love to get back to playing tabla. I would love to get back to learning to skate. I would love to spend more time with my family. Just do a lot of things that make me happy and not get trapped into that whole cycle of working, getting enough money, then again working for it to pay the bills. And that is what I want you to understand. This is why FIRE is important. Now let's talk about the three most important components of financial independence and retire early. That is going to be number one, your income. How much are you making every single month, every single year? This is probably the most important factor that will decide how quickly can you retire, right? That is number one. And the second is how much are you able to save? What is your saving rate, right? Let's say you get paid 50,000 rupees per month. That is your income at this point right now. How much of that 50,000 per month can you actually save? That's what you need to decide. And once you have decided that, you have to make sure that you don't spend more than you actually need, right? मेरे बहुत सारे दोस्त हैं ऐसे that earn like 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs per month, and their spending is also crazy, right? Like they would just spend on whatever it is that would temporarily give them happiness, and they would just buy it. There is a really interesting quote by Naval which basically says, people who live far below their means are able to enjoy the freedom that people busy upgrading their lifestyle can never even imagine. That's what I want to tell you about savings, right? As much as you can save is going to really help out so that you can retire at an early age, right? That's the really important part to understand. Next, you have the most important part, which is called as investing, right? This is where you will get your expenses paid out from. So investing is very interesting, right? Because most of us, what we do is we just basically get paid into our bank account, the payment goes, and you don't actually invest it somewhere else, right? Or maybe you just put it into some FD or something. But let me tell you, there is one very big enemy of all of your financial goals, and that is your inflation, right? How much is the inflation of India right now? It hovers between 6 to 7 to 8%. We'll just take about 7% interest or inflation into account when we are talking about how fast is the prices of the goods increasing in our country. Now, why is this important? Because let's say that you put all of your payments, all of your salary gets credited into your bank account and you don't do anything with it, right? Like you just spend it or you just keep it into your bank account. You will be having a negative return of 4 to 5% every single year. Your bank might give you 2 to 3%. Inflation is 7% and you can make the math. Most people are not able to understand it because it doesn't feel like it. Obviously, like let's say you have 1 lakh rupees into your bank account, right? In the next 5 years, वो 1 lakh ही रहेंगे. It's not like वो कम हो जाएंगे. But the prices of the goods that you can afford with that 1 lakh will increase by 6% or 7% annually. So now that you know that, it's really important for you to invest. Where should you invest, right? You need to invest into the equity market. You really need to invest into the stock market. Gold or FDs or bank interest rate is not going to be enough. You really need to invest into the stock market if you really want to get your financial independence. Or you can also do crypto investments if that's what you like. But more importantly is the idea of investing into the stock market. How to invest, like where exactly to invest. I will not tell you where to invest. I will just share what I am doing right now. I don't really care much about what stock to pick, what mutual fund to buy. I have a very simple strategy of investing on every single month into an index fund or into an index ETF, right? What are index funds? What is index ETF? I have covered that in a separate video in which I've talked about stock market basics. You can look at that video if you're interested with the link in the description. But more importantly is this idea of investing consistently every single month into a simple index fund or into a simple index ETF, because you don't need to worry about it, right? Like it will obviously be giving you returns without you having to think about where to invest and how much to invest in a particular company or into a particular fund. Now let's talk about what are the different types of FIRE, right? Financial Independence Retire Early has a couple of types. Number one is called as lean FIRE, in which you decide, let's say right now your expenses is about 30,000 rupees and you just say ki, theek hai, for the rest of your life that you will be living, you want to keep the same standard of living, right? You don't want to go on some crazy luxurious vacations. You don't want to upgrade your lifestyle at a crazy amount. You just want to have a simple life. That is what lean FIRE is all about. On the other hand, we have fat FIRE, and fat FIRE is all about finding a way in which you can properly live life to the fullest, right? You want to live in the most luxurious hotels, you want to live in the most luxurious vacations, just do a lot of different things, right? That's what fat FIRE is all about. Now you get to choose what goal do you want to achieve based on what gives you happiness, and that is what the second type is about. There is a third type of FIRE as well. It's called as financial independence recreational employment, in which you basically decide that yes, you are going to be financially independent, but you also want to work at something that you love, right? Like maybe let's say you want to teach people some skill, right? Let's say you want to become a teacher. So you really enjoy teaching, but you don't want to completely depend on it. So it's basically about working because you love it and not as much about paying the bills because that is already covered because of your investments. Now let's talk about the most important rule in FIRE, and that is number one, compound interest and your 4% rule. Compound interest, I've already talked about that in a separate video. I will leave a link to that, but it is literally the most important thing you should be paying attention to. Basically, if you have 100 rupees into your index fund, for example, it gets you 10% return. So you get 110 rupees. Then after that, the next year it gets you 10% on that 110 rupees. So that becomes 121 rupees and not 120 rupees. अब ये 1 रुपए का फर्क, you might just say कि इससे क्या ही फर्क पड़ता है, but in the future, this amount explodes and it compounds and it grows exponentially, and that's basically what you should understand. Next is the 4% rule. 4% rule basically says that, let's say right now at this point, I can assume that my index fund will give me a return of about 12% in the next 15 years. Based upon past performance, we can conclude to that decision. And I know that inflation is about 6 to 7%. Let's just take 7%. So 12 minus 7%, that will leave you with 5% real return, right? I'll just take a margin of safety and just take 4 in this case and not 5. just to be safe. So we have 4% rule. So that basically means that if your expense is 30,000 rupees every single month, find out how much that would be on a yearly basis, multiply by 12, and then multiply that by 25. And that is the amount that you need to get to be truly financially independent for the lean fire method. That is basically what you should keep in mind. The 4% rule is really, really important. Some people like to take the 2% rule. Some people think of it as the 3% rule. Just depends on you. 4% is a nice estimate and everyone is going with that. All right, let me show you an example of how can you actually achieve financial independence and retire early. There are various calculators that you can find online and you can use them to understand how long will it take and how much money do you need to invest, right? There are various calculators that you can use, like this one, for example. Let's just try to use this. What's your current age? It's 20. I don't have a spouse. Retirement age, let's just go with 35. Expectancy, let's just say, is going to be about 80. Your inflation is going to be about, let's just say, 6%. Your expected annual returns is going to be, let's say, 12%. You can tweak with these values and you can see exactly how much do you need to earn, right? Monthly retirement expenses in today's cost, it's going to be about 30,000. Existing amount saved for retirement, that is going to be 0. Inflation after retirement is still going to be 6%. Expected returns, I'll keep that at 10%, and I can submit and I can see how much do I need to invest every single month, right? So for example, this is what it says. 37,000 rupees invested every single month for a span of 15 years is going to get you to a retirement corpus of about 1.8 crore rupees right there, right? That's what you need to get retired in India. Now, I also want to show you something else which is called as a digital nomad. It's a person who is able to live around the world and is able to manage that just based upon their investments. And that is what we will see right now. Fire calculator will tell you exactly what is your current age, where do you live, how much do you invest, what is your current net worth, and then you can find out where can you financially retire, right? Of course, like in India, 1.8 crores is a good number to retire at, but if you are in the US, then that isn't enough. So let me show you exactly how this works. First of all, we'll just go into this current age. I will enter this age to be 20. Current net worth is 0. You live in Goa, for example. You have a monthly income of $1,000 and you spend about 500 of that, and you're able to save about 50% of what you earn. Calculate, and this is basically what it will tell you. You can retire at the age of 40 in this city, in this place right here, right? With this much net worth. So this will also give you an idea of where do you want to live and how much would that cost you. Now that we've discussed about exactly how can you achieve this goal, now let's talk about some pitfalls of FIRE, right? Number one, you might not be ready for the cost that might occur in this span of retirement time. Let's say you retire by the age of 40 till 80. I'm assuming that you will live till 80. For the span of these 40 years, there might be some additional expenses that you might have to bear. Number one, you might have some children, you might have marriages of the children, you might have to pay for the education of the children. Just some costs end up coming up. Like, let's say you might want to buy some house, let's say you might want to buy something expensive, and you might not be able to account for that in this calculation that we have done. Okay, there is a really interesting Excel sheet that was created by Ankur Variku, and I think that will really be helpful to you. So take a look at that. I will put the link of that in the description, in which you can also account for that, and then you can find out exactly how much time will it take you to retire off of your investments. And that is what you should always keep in mind. The second pitfall is the market fluctuations, right? Always be aware of what happens in the market. There are times in which you might want to withdraw at the time of a recession, right? There might be something bad going on. There are economic cycles that you need to be aware of. There's a really interesting video by Ray Dalio in which he talks about this exact same thing. But understanding about these economic cycles is also important. That is basically what you should keep in mind when we are talking about FIRE. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. If you're still watching, just say I was till the very end. Now, at the next week, I'll be talking about my goals, how I want to retire at the age of 25. my financial goals you will be learning. It's going to be a really eye-opening video for all of you. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel and like this video, share this video with a friend of yours. I hope I was able to properly explain to you what is the FIRE movement and how it works. Inflation is important, compound interest is important, and investing wisely every single month is important as well. That's all I have for you today. I will see you all in the next video. You can take a look at my socials, Instagram and Twitter. You can follow me there if you're interested, and I'll see you in the next one.